Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome into my channel. I am Coach Sherri, and my channel is about workforce development, career readiness, entrepreneurship, real life, real issues, and real talk. And this evening, I want to talk about plan your business using the 7 P's. And I am so excited that today is day 10 of 30 plus days going live. So, for all of you that have been here live with me or even with the replay, I appreciate your support. This is definitely something that I am really putting my efforts into each and every day. And so far, so good. I see Four Corners Custom Products is in the building. Hello. I was glad to see you earlier and definitely checking you out. And I see Olivia Love. Hello. How are you, Olivia Love? Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I am going to be talking about plan your business using the 7 P's. And as many of you know, and just from my channel name, I am a coach. I actually started out as a basketball coach, believe it or not. I did play basketball back in the day. I'm actually in part of the Hall of Fame of my high school. And after college, I started coaching girls basketball. I had an all-star team, and it was a great experience. I also coached young women back then. There wasn't the WNBA. The only option was to go overseas. So I did have a young adult team that were preparing to possibly going overseas to play. And it was just a great experience, but it evolved into marketing coaching, first coaching small businesses and nonprofits on strategies to market what they had. And then it went into just coaching people who were starting their business, who are looking to see what type of business or career they needed to go into. And it just continues to evolve. But my passion is definitely in marketing and helping businesses grow. And what I've noticed, not just in a person being an entrepreneur, but also in their career, that sometimes they have frustrations because they are feeling overwhelmed. They feel like things are thrown upon them in, at the last minute, and they just don't feel 100% prepared. And I don't know why, but to me, it seems like after COVID, you know, things started to escalate in that way where things seem to have more of an urgency, a sense of urgency. Now, you would think that since COVID, things would have slowed down, but I don't know if it's because the bandwidth of many teams and businesses are much smaller. And so it appears as if things are just coming at you at rapid fire because you don't have the manpower. Or I don't know if it's just that's just the way it is, that things are being expected quicker. I know technology is definitely speeding things up and making things, more accessible. So with everything, though, it just seems like people want things in a much quicker way. And so one of the things that I talk to clients about, especially if, they're getting ready to start a business, a plan is always the best thing. Now, when I do my videos, yes, I'm sharing nuggets and information with you, but it's also a reminder to me and for me to continue to implement or re-implement some of these same strategies into my day to day as I work in within my business or with my team in my career. So, again, so many of us are building the plane while we're flying it. And I know, Olivia Love, you should get a little chuckle from that. I actually just said that to you today. But yeah, and that's what people say, and it's almost an accepted term that, what, we all have to just fly the plane and build it at the same time. But that concept, it's, we overlook things, and because of that you may feel like nothing ever gets completed. Things are added last minute, and it all can result in stress. All of that absolutely can result in you being stressed in your career, stressed in your business, even stressed in your family life. So, the 7 P's of planning can act as your checklist or your framework so that your planning process is thorough and stress free. And that's what we all want. We want something that is thorough. We want Of course, you'll have to tweak it here and there, but we want our plan to be laid out in a way that it can be duplicated if need be. It's easily readable, accessible, understandable, and that is something that you can follow, and it will result in you achieving your goal. So, the first thing, let's see, I have the banner. So the first P of the plan your business using the 7 Ps, the first P is product. So, product is very important. You have to understand the product, understand its benefits, features, and unique proposition. Again, I hope you all have your pen and paper so that you can take down these nuggets and capture these notes so that you can review them later. Thankfully, this is YouTube, so it is recorded. But when coaching clients on marketing their products or services, I always have them start with a SWOT analysis, and that's SWOT analysis. And I was thinking about it. I was going to add, the different layers of a SWOT analysis here, but I've decided I'll just go into more detail about that in a future video at another time. I mean, I have all these lives every day, so you just never know when the SWOT analysis will pop up. So the first thing again is the product. The next item is the price. So when you're planning your business using the 7 Ps, the second thing is the price. And especially when I coach women in business, oh my goodness, they are always underestimating the value of their product and service. And men oftentimes overprice their products and service. And I always find that very interesting. But when you are considering the price, you have to do research. It takes research. You have to understand the market rate and all the costs associated with your product or service, including and especially your time. Your pricing needs to be competitive yet profitable. So you don't want to overprice. You don't want to underprice either. You want to be somewhere in the middle. A lot of times people consider, how much it costs to purchase the items that go into, if they are making everything from scratch, they go into the cost of all the ingredients or all the items, and then they price, but they don't consider their time. And so you have to understand, what is your time? How much time does it take? And what would be your fee per hour? What do you think your product or service is worth for you to have a hand in it? You have to add that. You have to also add the packaging, especially if it is a tangible item. How much is the packaging going to cost? That could be the bags, the tissue papers, the card stock, if you're going to put a card in there, the business cards, all the things that go into marketing your product, selling your product, shipping your product, even considering how much maybe events venues cost. You have to put all of that into the end result price of your product. You want to divide it, understand how much, have a goal of how many of those things you're going to sell per year, or it's easier really to do it per quarter. And from there, you can determine what your budget will be, because your budget has to include your price. It is so important to write this down, write it out, because I don't care how small your business is, I don't care what your business is, there may be a possibility that you could reach out to investors. Someone may see your product and say, I would love to invest in this product. Do you have an investment opportunity or option? Not saying that you're trading on the market or, anything like that, but you can always have an investor and give them a small percentage of your profits, depending on how much they give you. And until you pay them back, or they can continue to roll their money in and just receive a small amount or a certain amount, it doesn't have to be small, per month or per quarter. There's a lot of people out there that love to invest in products and in different business opportunities for sure. I see TWP Popcorn is in the building. What's popping with you? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. It was great seeing you the other night as well. I appreciate the support. Yes, and especially with a person in the jewelry business. Now, Olivia Love is a jewelry designer, and I know a lot of jewelry designers. They struggle with pricing. When I designed jewelry, and especially the way I started, I had a struggle at first because I was like, wait, what? How much? And then I felt some things because I know the quality. I was, maybe overpricing. I was one of those that priced like a guy. And I guess that's because growing up in a brick and mortar business, seeing how my father priced his items, in both of his stores. And I was like, so I knew what it entailed. But because I wasn't a true brick and mortar, I knew I had to scale back because I didn't have to take into consideration utilities and the upkeep of a building per se. So, just talking through that. And Olivia Love, I don't mind talking through that with you as well at another time for sure. I see everyone is speaking. Four Corners Custom Products. I think she does, Olivia Love, if you can respond. But she's going to be building it for sure. I'm trying to encourage her to put some more content if she doesn't have any already on there. But I think that she really needs to put some content on there. I think there's a special place for YouTube for everyone. Okay, so number two is the price. And the next one is, let me get that. Number three is promotion. So when you are planning your business using the 7 P's, number three would be promotion. And this is one of my favorites. I love coaching clients on promotion because I use attraction marketing strategies. So first you have to understand your client and or customer. Who are they? How old are they? What do they do for a living? I wrote all this down so if you hear my paper. What level of education do they have? What kind of food do they eat? And think about it. There's so many people that eat different types of food now. Of course, we have our meat eaters, but we also have people that are vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, and depending on what your product or service is and what kind of materials you use, you have to sometimes consider the type of food that your clients eat. Because if they're vegan and you say make clothing, you have to be mindful of the materials that you use. So that is really important. What type of food do they eat? What type of books do they read? Where do they spend their time? What are some of their concerns? What problems will your product or service solve for them? So this is attraction marketing at its best. Oh my goodness. And when you are thinking about your ideal client, your target market, you really need to make sure you're writing this out. You're writing it out and you really are basing it on your most ideal client. Who would they be? Why would they buy your product? Now, it's not saying that you won't be able to sell to different types of people outside of who they are. Absolutely. Your product, relatively, depending on what it is, should be for just about anyone. But you want to have that target so that when you are developing your products, you're more focused. If you are focusing developing your product to sell to just everyone, and if someone says, well, who's your audience, and you say everyone can buy this, that's true. But if you are developing and designing your product for everyone, it'll look like that. You won't have a true brand. Your brand will be all over the place. That's why when you see, especially new designers, they have a clothing line and there's a capsule of items and everything is interchangeable, but they had one particular type of client in mind. And that made developing that capsule so much easier. And they can evolve from there. And they may find that the client that they thought they were creating for really wasn't the one that was purchasing. It might have been a different type of client. And if it is a different type of client, then it will be up to you to figure out, well, then who is that? And so that you can keep them in mind next time when you go to the drawing board, for sure. You was trying to find her channel? Yeah, it's hard to find a person's channel, especially if they don't produce a lot of content. I know for the longest time, years, it was hard to find my channel. So Olivia Love, as you consider being a content creator, I highly recommend that you start searching your name as well. Like in the search bar or whatever, typing your name several times a day so that it can start populating. And so then when people start to look for you, the algorithms will realize, oh, there was somebody just looking for this person the other, like an hour ago. And then your name will start to pop up. But definitely, it's going to be important to try to get your name and information out there. And I hope you do for sure. All right. So once you understand who your person is, you can figure out what type and where to promote. What type of promotions do you want? You can start developing your strategy. If you do all kind of leather purses and belts and things like that, not to possibly promote your product near a area that focuses on vegan lifestyles or vegetarian lifestyles. And I'm just going over that like with the food part, but you want to kind of understand where your client hangs out, and that's basically where you will start placing your marketing pieces, your ads, and where you'll spend most of your time with networking and developing your social capital so you can start meeting more people. So the next item is number 4, and that this is for planning your business using the 7 P's, and that is place. Wow, that is so nice. Four Corners Custom Products. And Four Corners, Olivia Love, is really, really good with connecting people, places, and things, and definitely a huge supporter. So I hope that you go check out their channel as well and see what they have going on, because they are a good supporter. I'm always one of those people that, you support me, I support you. Let's do this together. It's room at the table for everyone, for sure. All right. So for number 4, when we talk about place, this is how will your goods and services be received? Are you going to do it, virtually, a standalone store, a kiosk? Now, kiosks, they have them in different places. Most commonly, you see them at the mall. And years ago, I had a client that was actually on the first episode or the first season for Cake Boss. And it was amazing. She was actually my son's English teacher. And for my son's birthday or when he did something great, she would, or meet a goal, she would make him a miniature football cake. This little cake, and it looked just like a football. It was chocolate, it was delicious, homemade from scratch. And that's just something she did. And that summer, after that year, that's when they were recruiting for the show Cake Boss, and she applied and got accepted and was brought up to LA and was on that season. Now, she was one of the first people to, get voted off, or however they got them off. But even just being on for that one episode, it propelled her career to so many different levels. It's been years ago, and I mean, my son has already graduated from college, and she was his teacher in middle school. And even to this moment, she's doing phenomenal things in LA. But she did come back for a little bit after she got kicked off the show, or voted off, or however they got her off. Um, Even when you were on just for a season or for an episode, you still do things with the cast after the season's over. So she did a lot of things, but she came back and was trying to figure it out. Like, wait, maybe this cake business is something. And so she went and she started making specialty cakes, but then she decided that she wanted to get more into cupcakes. Now, it was interesting because when she connected with me, her thing was trying to figure out, could she make a business out of making cupcakes? Now, mind you, this was around, I'm not even sure, it was probably about 2010, 10 around 10,000, 2010, 2011. I mean, we see cupcakes everywhere, but back then you didn't as much, not decorative cupcakes. And so she was concerned that people really wouldn't go for her cupcakes and wouldn't realize that she can make cakes. And I said, first of all, the fact that you can make big cakes and cupcakes. Now, when people taste your cupcakes, they see how you are so delicate with the design and are able to recreate something in on such a small surface, they'll know that you can make cakes. And she did. She went on and had a very successful cupcake business, and she got a kiosk. And I was telling her, like, be careful getting into like a brick and mortar situation. And, with a mall, the kiosks have to stay open as long as the mall is open. And it's typically 7 days a week. And the nearest mall was about 45 minutes away. So imagine you have a baked good and you have to travel at least 45 minutes just to get your supply if you run out or whatever, because you have to stay open. It's not like you can close because you have no more products to sell. And so it became much more expensive than she anticipated because she ended up having to find a kitchen nearby, that she could rent. And that's an extra fee, plus the gas every day back and forth, plus the help because she couldn't be there the whole time. She had to have two people so they can do shifts. And it was a great learning curve for her. And she realized that she really just wanted to stick with customized work. But now she writes scripts and things for sitcoms out in LA. But at any rate, you might want to put your items in a specialty shop. I've been offered to put my jewelry, even to this day, I don't even sell jewelry anymore, but to put it into shops that are more geared towards women. And also maybe in home shows. I mentioned the trunk shows that I used to design jewelry for, and that was like a person having a clothing boutique, but it just wasn't open, every day of the year. It was just open 2 weeks out of every season. And trust me, the women that I did those trunk shows with, their clothes sold in the six figures, high six figures. So they made really good money 4 times a year, and it was well worth it. But again, they didn't have the overhead of a brick and mortar store. They were able to write off a good portion of their home that they used for their trunk shows during that time. And it's a win-win when you can look at it like that. I see Vernell Livingston is in the building. I'm glad that you are here. Oh, okay. Okay, so I know someone from the first season too. So I wonder, well, I don't know. The person I know didn't live on the West Coast. They actually lived in the South. So that's so cool. And I'm glad that y'all are connecting. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So, also you might want to look at vending events, being a vendor at a festival or a big program that's coming through your town or your city. I remember with my jewelry, I did many vending events, indoor, outdoor, also social media. You can get on LinkedIn, have your product be sold on LinkedIn or even like a Spotify. So there's so many different platforms and ways that you can get your product and services out there. The next one is number 5. And so this is plan your business using the 7 P's. And number 5 is people. Now, people, you want to consider who is on your team. A lot of times, especially if you're starting a business, everybody's going to want to be on your team, especially if they know your idea is about to blow up. But when you are developing your business and creating your team, stacking your team, you want to make sure you are putting people in the right position. You can't just have a bunch of people on your team that are there because they love you, they support you, they want, they could be customers, they could be clients, they can be advocates, they can be people out there spreading the word about your business, but that doesn't mean they have to be internally part of your business in that way. I remember with my parents' business, yes, we all would have friends, and my mother, one of my mother's sisters, worked in one of my parents' stores, but I didn't have like a bunch of cousins that worked in my store, in my parents' store. With we, I would have like one or two friends come home with me from college during holidays when I would go home to help out. Let me see, we would my one of my father's sisters, his one of his dear sisters, during the holidays, she would always say like, I can't do this line of work, but I want to help out because y'all are so busy. And so what she would do is make food so that we would have great food to eat during those holidays when we worked extra long hours. So don't think that you have to have your besties working for you. I remember getting ready, I was going to go into business with a dear friend, but it didn't work out at all because we had two different perspectives of how we wanted the business to go. She had a perspective of she just wanted to make money but not do anything. And I had a perspective of I knew that if I did things, it would make a lot of money and that was going to be the, payout. And my nerves just couldn't take it, with her wanting the benefits, reap the benefits without putting in the effort. I never believe in that. So thus far, my best business partner to this day has always been my husband. And not every husband and wife does well in business together. I think for us it has because I grew up in a parent ran business. My parents ran and operated their business together for 40 years. They were married for 51 years before my mother passed away. So I saw how that dynamic can work. It doesn't always work, but I've seen it work. So people are very important. You want to also know what type of positions whoever is on your team, and you first, before you even put them on your team, you have to know what positions will be needed. Do you need people that's going to help you create your product? Do you need people that are going to be good with marketing, customer service? Do you need people that are going to be good with helping you get financing, investing? What positions do you have on your team? And I love the team concept because it really gives you a clear snapshot. When a person truly knows what their position is, they can play it full. They can be the expert in that area and really take control over that. So that's really important. So when you think about people, also think about customer service. How will your product or service be delivered or packaged? How will the customer receive it? What elements will you include to showcase your brand? So I think about my daughter as a realtor, and whenever a client of hers purchased their home, she always considers their lifestyle and creates a welcome to your new home basket for them. And she'll include things that she knows that they will enjoy because she's gotten to know them. So you want to get to know your customer too, so that you can give them things that are personal and specific and things that they will never forget. So when they are looking at it or using it, you'll always come top of the mind. And not saying that people will buy a house every day, but people know people who will buy a house or buy whatever it is that you have as your business and recommend it because you were thoughtful to do something like that. Also, you want to think about the types of bags that you will use. Are you going to get your brand, your logo on there, your name? Are you going to have a specific bag that people will know when they see it that comes from your particular brand, your business? When you think about a brand, it's not only the name, it's also the look and feel of it. You want people to be able to identify it from across the room, even if they can't read the name, like the swoosh from Nike. You know that when you see a swoosh, that's a Nike sneaker. So you want your brand to be that type of recognizable. So when you are developing your business, you want to be consistent with the things that you are wrapping your items with too. You want to also think about putting in personalized notes when a client buys something from you, or if they use your services, you want to personalize those notes. And considering the people, you want to do some follow-ups. It can be seasonal, it can be anniversary follow-ups, just checking in. How are you doing? How are the items that you got or the services that you received? Do you need any tweaking? With resume writing, I haven't had to really get do any marketing to get new clients because I have a lot of referrals as well as former clients that are needing their resumes updated or tweaked for a new position. So once you get the ball rolling, you'll find that it'll continue to roll on its own for sure. The next, number 6, and again, we're planning your business using the 7 P's, is process. So, process are those touch points, and the response time from initial contact to delivery. Always specify business days. So, if you have a product or service, especially a service, products, some people can give you grace because they understand the mail system, or you can almost to the moment tell them when something's going to be delivered because it can be tracked once it's sent out. But a service, people, is kind of a gray area. So for me, most of what I do is a service, and so I always only say business days. So if someone hires me on a Tuesday, I'll let them know it'll be maybe 5 business days. So that's that, depending on when the payment hit. Now we got to keep it real with that. You want to say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I never count the weekends because you have to continuously have work life balance. Now, 9 times out of 10, they'll get it before that weekend. And I always try to project a little bit further out than I know I can deliver, so that this way when you get it a little earlier, you're like, oh, I was thinking this was going to come next week sometime. So that always makes a customer feel really good. So the process, you have to know your process, you have to know your bandwidth, your capacity. So if you know you can only handle 5 or 7 clients a week, only have 5 or 7 clients a week. If you get bombarded and 10 to 15 clients knock on your door, don't take them, because if you can't handle them and you under deliver, that's going to hurt your brand. And you really want to protect your brand for sure. And Vernell is saying, always ask the customer, what can you improve? And what do they like? Yeah. Those are good follow-up questions. But also remember, in that research stage, that you are doing that type of research and finding out what are some of their gaps, what are some of the things that are really pausing them and not allowing them to move forward, and what can you do to help them with that. But definitely, sending out a survey, that's another good touch point after they've received it. And when you feel like, by now they probably already used it. So I wouldn't say send a survey right after they purchased it, because they may not have gotten the full, use of it yet. But definitely, wait a couple of weeks and then say, hey, just following up. I really appreciated you as a customer and just wanted to see, how are you enjoying X, Y, and Z, or how did that interview go? Just to, see, and what could I have done better? Do you feel that this was the right thing for you for that event, or, something like that for sure. And thank you, Vernell, for saying that. Also, return calls and messages in a timely manner. There's nothing like calling someone or sending them a message in a business and they don't respond for weeks, if ever. And, again, that's your brand. So you want to have a 24 to 48-hour response time, and especially business days response time. I would say in business, unless you are just a 24/7, you don't mind. And depending on the type of business, because I can tell you, my daughter works almost every day, but she has her time blocked, and she does do a lot of social travel. So she has a great work life balance. But as a realtor, she is working on the weekends, Saturdays, and Sundays. So she will answer. But there are some businesses where you have to put a bookmark on it on Friday and then open it back up on Monday, because If you don't, your life will just be that business. And if you are having a home-based business where you are able to work it from your home, I find with a lot of clients, they don't know when to turn it off. You have to set some boundaries and office hours even for your own home-based business. So that is the process. I see Be the Difference Clothing is in the building. Hey, great to see you. Hope everything is going well. Great to see you. So let's look at the last one, which is number 7 of plan your business using the 7 P's. And this is physical evidence. Let me tell you, this right here is so important. I find that a lot of people leave it up to their memory to know when, what something is, when is something due, what they said in that last conversation. And think about, who was it, Bumpy in Harlem? If you'll remember from back in the Renaissance time, or yeah, just a little bit after Renaissance time, when Bumpy, he was a big numbers guy in Harlem, New York. And I want to say he may have also dabbled with drugs, but definitely numbers. And people that did numbers back then, they wouldn't write the numbers down. The big time ones wouldn't write, they would always remember it. They had great memories. And so he when he forgot a number somebody hit, and they came to him for their payout, and he was like, no, that wasn't your number. And it was this whole big thing. And that's when he realized he was slipping, and he actually was in the beginning stages of dementia. And so in your business, you don't have to rely on your memory in that way. When you have a conversation with a client or a customer, you need to jot down notes. And not only that, you want to have that physical evidence. So if you are communicating with them verbally, you want to follow up with them via a written message. If you come to a verbal agreement, you definitely want to follow up with something in writing outlining what was discussed and agreed to. Now, you can include what you agreed to on your invoice. So for me, sometimes, and most of the times, I would do this on my invoices. I'll write the specifics of what my service will be and what we had agreed upon. The number, if I'm doing a large contract, I've had a contract as large as doing like 64 resumes for an organization. And so in my invoice, I let them know that's what I'm invoicing you for, 64 resumes at. And I gave them a full amount, but I gave them also broke it down to how much that comes to per resume. So this way, in the future of anything, if they said, no, you told us we're going to do 65 or 70, well, you sent me the money, or at that time before, if you didn't send me the money yet, maybe we can renegotiate. Because if it's 65 and I have this invoice for 64, that means you owe me a little bit more. But they might say, oh no, it was 60 resumes. Okay, well, if it was 60, then we have to take off four, the amount for four. But either way, it's in writing, and that's part of that agreement. So you want to definitely, document that. And even writing an email just saying, as per our conversation today, or our conversation yesterday, whatever the date is, you want to have it. Our email is great because it is time stamped, so you can use that as evidence for sure. And Ronell was saying, a pound of ink is more than a pound of memory. Write it down for proof. Yes. And I remember, I forget what business deal we were at, our meeting, a business meeting we were at, and I write down everything. I date everything and write it down, make it plain. And someone was challenging something that I had wrote. It was in reference to a previous conversation. And I remembered, and this is the first time I even realized that, my husband recognized my notes, that I'd write everything down. And so he was saying, my husband was like, what? Sherry's notes are, you can you can publish her notes. Like, I know this is what it is. This ink right here, this is what happened, this is what was said. And I was like, oh, okay, he respects my notes. That's awesome. I see Six Bows is back. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that for sure. Hmm. Right? Olivia Love knows, she knows me in real life. She knows that I write down everything. I mean, I date it, I color coordinate my information as well. Different types of meetings. If I'm having a virtual meeting, I write those notes in blue. If I have an in-person meeting, I write those notes in black. If I'm meeting with my team or having one-on-one meetings with people on my team, I write those notes in red. If I'm just writing down, jotting down little notes here and there throughout the day, that's in purple. So at glance, I can see what was going on. Was that a virtual meeting? Was it in person? Who was I talking to? At glance, I can see. And of course, I have the date, and I make sure that I divide everything with a line. So even if it's the same day, if it's a new concept or conversation, I'll put a line so that I can see the divide and I understand, what that is. And what's interesting, I'm with a huge team developing a new platform. And if any of you have ever worked where you had to develop a platform for a organization of 8,000 or more people, you'll know it is a very detailed and daunting process. Oof. Mm. And so and everyone but me, everyone is writing everything in OneNote. I use OneNote, especially for my coaching clients. I always use OneNote. But certain things I just have to do pen to paper. Most things I have to do pen to paper. And the consultant was asking about a process that we had all agreed upon. And she was trying to recall exactly what we said we wanted in the columns. And everyone was scrambling around in their computers trying to figure out what that date was, what was the information. And I just I just flipped some pages. I was looking for the blue because I knew we were in person that day, but I knew that most of our meetings, because our consultant lives somewhere else, she has to fly in. But I knew that if she's talking about something in the past, 9 times out of 10, it was virtual. So I'm just looking at all of my blue notes. So I'm looking at my blue notes, and in the margin, I always, under the date, I put who I was talking with. Is this a workday meeting? Is this a team meeting? Is this um a meeting about an apprenticeship? Is this, I always put that in the margin. So that's also quick at a glance. So I'm looking, and I find it. And I said, oh, here it is. This is what I jotted down this. And they were all looking at me like, wait, what? You wrote that? We're looking in our computers and you found yours first? Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So, you definitely want to remember the writing. Even though technology is dope and is accessible, it's not as, easily retrievable as we would like it to be. Yes, I do too, Six Bows. I love my handwritten notes. And also, yeah, I did. I saved the day. And they were in awe because I was like, yeah, this was on March 7th when boom 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 or whatever. I forget what the date was, but it was something like that. I was like, yeah. And I just know when BlackBerry, and I had a video, I did a live about BlackBerry and how they didn't think again, but I used to love my BlackBerry. And I remember saying, you know what? I'm going to put everything in this BlackBerry. I started putting my notes in there. I was like, I'm going to do my calendar in this. I'm not going to do the paper calendar. I'm just going to, this was years and years and years ago, as you all could probably imagine. I want to say this was definitely before 2008. And, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use my BlackBerry to the fullest. I'm not gonna use a paper calendar, which I loved. I love planners. I still do to this day. I said I'm just gonna write everything in my BlackBerry. One day, I don't know, getting ready to leave my garage. I was putting some things in my car, and unbeknownst to me, I put my BlackBerry on top of my car on the hood or on the roof of my car. I must have been in a hurry because I, you know, pulled out, not realizing that I left my BlackBerry on the roof of my car. And oh my goodness, y'all. I'm driving out of my neighborhood, and for some reason, no matter where we live, we always live like in the back, in the cut of every neighborhood we ever live in. And so we're deep down in our neighborhood, and I'm going out, boom, boom. I mean, literally, from our home to the entrance is 3 miles one way. And so I get there and I turn. I remember I made a right. And then at the light, I made a left. And when I was making that left, when I was at that light, I was looking for my phone. Like, oh, wait, where's my phone? And then when the light turned green, I made the left. Oh, yeah, I realized where my phone was at that point. Because I heard it slide off the roof of my car and crash onto the street. And I was like, no. And this is before the cloud. This is before backup. This is before a lot of things. So when I tell you I had some very valuable contacts in that phone, and because I even went through my phone book and was like, I don't need this anymore. I'm putting all this in the BlackBerry, boom, boom. And when that happens, I said, never again. I will never rely solely on technology to hold my important information like that. My backup will always be paper. And another reason why I want to leave a paper trail, this is my legacy. I would love for my future to find my handwritten notes on different information. I know will be the difference. No, it wasn't funny. It was it was sad. It was a sad moment. Oh my goodness. And my heart stopped beating for a little bit too when that happened because you realize, like, wow, oh, I'm really out here like this. So, yeah, I want my future to look and find, like, when I see things periodically that has my mother's handwriting. My mother passed in 2010. I love it, and I read every word of it. And it's just, I heard it slide off. I did. It slid off and I heard it hit the ground. That's the thing. And it was on a relatively busy street. Let me see. Since you know where I'm from up north, be the difference. It was like turning on to, say you're driving up Cedar Lane towards Teaneck Road and you making that left. That's you on Teaneck Road and you kind of, the traffic is rolling. It was like that. But even faster because this street was a 55-mile-per-hour street. So yeah, yeah, it was not good. So I'm just going to do a recap and go through the plan your business using the 7 P's. So the first one again is your product. You want to make sure you have that researched. Your price, you don't want to price too high or too low. You want to be competitive, but also you want to make a profit. Three is promotion. You want to do your attractive marketing and understand exactly who your customer or client is. Then we have the place. You want to, with the place, you definitely want to know where you're going to put your product. What type of atmosphere is it going to be? A brick and mortar? Is it going to be virtual? Where are you going to do it? Oh, five is the people. Who are the people? Who's going to be on your team? And what type of service are you going to give the people that are your customers? Six is the process, the touch points and the response time and all of that, returning calls and messages and being communicative with your clients. And then the physical evidence. Now, following this outline will definitely help you think strategically about all aspects of your offering and maximize effectiveness and success. You know, when you don't have this, you will be flying while building the plane. You will have more stress in your life if you don't follow these types of plans. You'll be trying to figure things out. Things won't be laid out, it won't be plain and clear. And there's no reason why you can't run your business and have a clear plan. Now, I always love to have a marketing communications plan. That's what I always recommend to clients. I do have a template for it that is really, really good. It's so deep. And you want to have that plan written out again in case you ever get people that want to invest in your business. You don't want to have to scramble. The time to get ready is now and not when you need it. So if you don't have some type of plan in place, you need to get it. When someone says, I really love your product, I would love to invest, I want to see your numbers, I want to see your goals, I want to see your strategy, you should be like, all right, hold on. Not, I'll get it to you in like 2 weeks. No, you should always have it. It should be something that you even carry with you, because you should always be thinking of ways to make it better, tweaking it, something you may have added to your product line. You might not do something. So I would say every 6 months, you need to look at your business plan and make sure it's still relevant. Make sure that your products are still, in sync, that your whoever you are trying to attract is still your target. If it's not, then you need to, revamp it. But once you have your foundation, once you have your template, basically the skeleton of it, all you have to do is insert. Just insert and make those changes, those updates. I say the same thing with resumes. You need to update your resume every 6 months, because within that 6 months, you will have, maybe learned a new skill. Something may no longer be relevant. You may have led a project. Also, within your business plan, make sure you have your bio in there. Anyone on your team, their information should be in your plan too, because people are going to want to know, like, yo, who are you rocking with? Who is also behind this with you? And so you want to make sure that the people on your team are competent in what they do. They're getting skilled up, trained up, certified to do what they do. So you have this strong team of SMEs, subject matter experts, that are helping you along the way. And this way, that gives investors even more confidence. Investors aren't always, impressed if it's just you behind the wheel. They want to know who you riding with, who's riding with you, who has your back, who's there to also support what you're doing. So those are just some tips that I wanted to share with you tonight about planning your business using the 7 P's. And this could be your business. If you are in a career and you have a team, these are some strategies you can use for your team as well, to make your team more efficient. I also do a lot of coaching for professionals that have a lot of complaints about their supervisors or managers that are just not that organized. They don't know where they're going next, which direction. And they might try to help them along and say, well, this is what I came up with, and they're like, nope, that's not what I'm thinking about, or I don't think we need that right now. So have an open mind as well as you continue to plan your life, your business, and your career. But everyone, I really appreciate you for being here. I see LB is in the building. Thank you for being here. I appreciate Be the Difference being here, as well as Six Bows is back. And Olivia Love, thank you so much. Fernell Livingston, I appreciate you. You know that. And then we also have Four Corners Custom Products. Everyone, thank you for being here and supporting this channel. If you like the information, be sure to give this a thumbs up. And this is also on replay. So if you're watching this on replay and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know, what is your nugget from this? Absolutely. Pen and paper. So what is your nugget from this talk? Let's call it. What is your nugget from plan your business using the 7 P's? And for those of you in the chat, if you can jot down your nugget, what is that one takeaway, that one aha moment? You may have already known it, but hearing it again in a different voice sometimes will help it come to life for you. So what is that one thing? Oh, that one thing that you're going to implement right away, maybe starting tonight or tomorrow, that you're going to implement into your business. Share that with me. I would love to hear it. You are so welcome, Olivia Love. You're welcome. Hmm. What is your one nugget? Updating every 6 months. Yes. You want to lay eyes on it. Some people, they pull out their business plan and they're blowing dust off of it. They may have gotten it made, somebody else made it. They didn't even read all the way through it. And then when they have to present it, they're like, oh, wait, I know I have it. And they think that's adequate. No, your business plan should be so relevant until you could just say, yep, this speaks for me today. And that's how that'll give you even that much more confidence in your business. Thank you, Vernell, for saying all of it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. All right, everyone. Well, you all have a wonderful evening. And again, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. Remember, practice. Practice every day. Practice so hard because when you get in that game, you need to play how you've practiced. Take that last shot so that you can win. I am Coach Sherri.